What's going on, y'all? For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is PTK, aka Pawn to a King, and I'm getting right into the video, man. If you were living under a rock, I'm here to let you know probably the greatest and the most popular rap beef in history happened over the last few weeks. Mega rapper Drake, mega rapper Kendrick Lamar, they went at it head to head and they clashed for the supremacy on who was the king of modern day rap. And real quick, I'm not doing this video in regards to who made the better songs, who made better disses, because the battle's already over. The vast majority of people believe that Kendrick won, except for you Drake fans crying on Twitter and on YouTube and whatnot. I'm just messing with y'all. But I wanted to go into the different war tactics and the different manipulation tactics that Drake and yes, Kendrick used in order to sway the public's opinion for one side or the other. Because it went way past just the pen, it went way past just the music. They were using a lot of things that you may find in books like The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, How to Win and Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie. I know I butchered the name, but when you guys do sales and you learn how to influence people with your voice and with your emotions and your facial expressions, you can get people to like you and enjoy you. And the thing that you guys need to understand about not only just Kendrick, but Drake, is they're very, very smart. They didn't just get to the top of the charts because everything was handed to them. They're very smart and they have a team that shapes their public opinion. So when you guys see them, when they present themselves to you, you already have preconceived notions about who they are. And essentially the rap beef, the specific disses, they are used to try to destroy the character so that way you can either pick one or pick the other. And that is the art of persuasion. That is the art of potentially manipulation. And the reason why I want you guys to understand these things is because when you look at a chessboard, a pawn, he just goes straight and forward and try to get pawns within his vicinity. He ain't even looking at what's going on around him. Compared to a king, he sits back, he analyzes the room, he sees the different pieces on his board and he uses them to his advantage. And not only that, but he's looking at the enemy team and seeing what type of traps and what type of strategies they have to try to get him off his square. And if you guys want to become a king, you want to elevate your thinking, you want to be able to understand the world better, this is a great beef to study. I know a lot of people on the internet like, why are you worried about rap? Why are you worried? There's so many more things going on. First and foremost, it's just entertainment. But more importantly, when you're looking at things and you're trying to learn from the things in front of you, you can gain a lot of wisdom. And that's why I'm doing this video. So I'm gonna get right into it. And quick disclaimer, I am a Kendrick Lamar fan. You know, he's my favorite rapper, but I give Drake a lot of credit. He went mano a mano against one of the greatest rappers of all time, and he held his own. And he did cement his legacy. I do think that he'll come back from this, and this isn't gonna be damaging because they didn't even put out the allegations. If Kendrick and Drake really wanted to destroy each other's careers, they would have put out their quote-unquote proof that they had on one another. But it's very clear to me that the label, Universal, didn't want their reputations to get destroyed because Kendrick and especially Drake are making a lot of money for that label. I promise you, they didn't want to destroy the character of each of these guys. Now, do I think something may happen in the future? Potentially, mainly to Kendrick. I honestly think something's gonna happen with Kendrick and his reputation, but that's just my personal thing. It has to do with, you know, the occult and stuff like that. I don't want to get into that on this video. But anyways, man, let's break down the different strategies that they used in order to sway your mind so you could pick side A or side B. Now, the first thing was paying for public opinions. There was actually a video I watched last week. It was a channel where it talked about the 7 chess moves that were being used in the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. I forgot the name of the channel, y'all can look it up. But one of the main things is that you get, you know, very reliable pawns. Drake had a lot of pawns, not necessarily in the rap game, but in the social media influence. Because the reason why a lot of these big rappers go on Kai Cenat stream, Aiden Ross streams is because they know that the younger generation is tapped in. Kai Cenat making a ton of money, bro. Aiden Ross, and I really don't know a lot of these other streamers because I'm 28. I'm not really growing up in the streaming site outside of dudes like Solo Minati and whatnot. So I don't know too many of the streamers' names. But Drake, especially Drake, he had a lot of streamers who liked him, who wanted to see him win, and he used them to his advantage. Why do you think in the diss 616 in LA, Kendrick Lamar specifically called out DJ Academics? Because he was reading the, I guarantee you Kendrick was in that stream looking at when he dropped Euphoria, how DJ Academics was being a fanboy for Drake. The dude clearly was biased, even though he was quote unquote trying to, you know, be equal in the fight and say he was gonna be fair and whatnot. He clearly wanted Drake to win. But the thing with DJ Academics, he has like 500,000, 1 million subscribers. So when he puts out reaction videos and he's dick riding Drake or he's talking down on Kendrick, it is allowing the public to think that Drake is better than Kendrick. Because I'm just gonna be real with y'all, most people are sheep. Most people get led by the TV, by the social media, by what they read online, and they do not form their own opinion. So when Drake had these different pawns doing his dirty work in regards to promoting his music, saying why didn't Kendrick drop, it allowed people to read into the narratives that was being brought out. And Kendrick knew this. Kendrick definitely knew this, and I'm gonna explain in different tactics that he used to combat that. But the main thing that he tried to do to combat that is in 616 in LA, he exposed DJ Academics, and that allowed the people to not take his opinion to heart. Because when I first listened to the diss from Euphoria, I thought it was cool, but I was looking into DJ Academic's stream and he was saying it was solid, but he didn't really come like that. Pause, no Diddy. Pause, no Diddy, no Diddy. But the reason why I'm bringing that out is because one of my homies, he came to me, he's like, bro, don't listen to DJ Academics, he's on Drake's side. And I re-listened to Euphoria because I didn't really like the beat when it first came out. And I started breaking down the lyrics, watching videos, and Kendrick was going mad at that dude. But because DJ Academics was on Drake's side, it could influence me because I wasn't really sure about Kendrick's song like that. So that's actually something that a lot of people do, politicians do, is that they have certain people on their side, they bank them, they fund them. That way, you know, these different news article dudes can sway the opinion, which by the way is illegal, but they do that behind the scenes, I promise you. The other strategy that both rappers used was deflection. So essentially deflection is where if somebody's coming at you with different accusations, different claims, you either downplay it or you try to spin the topic to something else. Y'all already understand this is straightforward. So mainly one big deflection is Drake, because he was backed into a corner after Not Like Us and Meet the Grams. And when he did that Heart Part 6, and keep in mind, Heart Part 6 got a nice beat, and Drake, he wasn't horrible at it. But he was trying to deflect the fact that all these different videos was coming out saying that he downloads PDF files. And what he had to do was try to spin the narrative, because Kendrick, when that song, Not Like Us, and y'all already know I'm from the West Coast, man. I'm from LA, so I know the areas that Kendrick's from. I don't know him personally, and I've never lived in Compton, but I be in LA, South Central, etc., etc. So Kendrick had the whole internet, bro. He had the whole internet with a West Side song. So Drake had to come out so that way he could kind of steal some of Kendrick Lamar's thunder, and he can deflect all the claims that was getting on his head to try to throw it back on Kendrick in regards to the woman beater allegations. So Drake was trying to deflect from what was going on and say, why doesn't he come out and explain? He was trying to force Kendrick's hand to come out and speak on the allegations. So Drake was trying to deflect. Not only that, but throughout the different raps, they were deflecting each point. So when you listen to Like That, Kendrick called himself Prince and he's MJ, right? Drake flipped it in push-ups. What's a king to a son, Negro? You can kind of fill it in, right? And then, you know, Kendrick, he went back on Euphoria because Drake was talking about 20v1. He said, what's 20v1 if I gotta smack the niggas who write with you? So y'all gotta be able to understand that deflection is a great strategy to use when y'all are in bad positions. And FYI, disclaimer, I'm not in no way telling you to use these tactics for manipulation. I want y'all to use it so you can guard yourself. I want y'all to be integral and have a good conscience. Try to live a righteous life. Now, if you choose not to, hey, that's on you. I'm taking the blood off my hands. But I want to be able to share this information with y'all so y'all can, you know, peep game and understand when people are trying to manipulate you. So, you know, a lot of things that they were doing all throughout the diss was trying to deflect the point so that way they can make themselves look better and apply the pressure. It's basically a counter move. You know, in boxing, somebody throw a jab and you hit them with that left hook by Ryan Garcia. Sometimes it could be a knocking blow. So they was using a lot of deflection in their different diss songs. And the main thing that they were trying to do is attack the person asking them questions. Because Drake came at Kendrick very, very heavy in push-ups and also in Taylor Made. And the reason why Kendrick made the song so long was not only so he could address many of the different things that Drake was coming at him, but that he could spin it and he could add different layers. And one thing that Kendrick did great, and this is something that Drake failed at, is Kendrick knew how to build himself up right with a good track record and how to dissect and destroy Drake piece by piece, part by part. And that was a big move that he did that ultimately saved him, that Drake just quite frankly fell short. If I'm being honest with you, Drake rapped pretty good. Now, if you want to say he got ghostwriters, I get that. But Drake had good songs, good energy on most of his songs outside of Heart Part 6. And the reason why he lost, in my opinion, was the tactical moves, the strategies, and the timing that kept him from winning the battle. Because it was more than just the music. It was the timing of the music, when you dropped it, how did you build certain angles. Drake was not nearly as good as K-Dot was. It shows you how smart Kendrick Lamar actually is, how tactical he is. Because when you got 3 albums like Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Mr. Morales, even though that's not really one of my favorite albums, in Section 80, all of his albums were planned out. They came from a central idea and they were cohesive. That's one of the beauty of being an artist who's very cohesive, is that you know how to plan out things, you know how to tie things together. And that was one of the main reasons why Kendrick stood out in his disses, is that he was able to tie everything together, whereas Drake, he was kind of just going off the top of his head, coming up with something creative, but he couldn't tie it all in together compared to Kendrick. Now, another strategy that your boy Drizzy Drake tried to do is damage control. Why do you think the Heart Part 6 is such a demonized track? Even though, again, it's a good beat and he had some decent bars. That was all right. It wasn't really hitting like that, but damage control, because he tried to save and salvage what little image he had left by saying, I don't understand why y'all believe this, man. He was trying to play himself as a victim. From the start, Drake was trying to play himself as a victim. With Push Up, what is this, a 20v1? Y'all want to team up because I'm the top dog. See, look how they come at me. They're jealous of me because of the women I got and the money I got. And they don't got the streams I got. He was trying to position himself as a victim. And that was actually a good thing, because for people who sympathize with Drake, they were looking at the things that Kendrick, because again, Kendrick was using certain manipulation tactics. People who were siding with Drake, they were like, see, look, Kendrick keep doing this, he keep doing that. So the Heart Part 6 was a way for Drake to salvage some of his fan base who was still rocking with him. And also, you know, Drake, he has a lot of different sponsorships. Y'all can follow a brother, I forgot his name, he from the West Coast too. He kind of talked with a little accent. He was bringing out a lot of things about how Drake is signing Universal. Universal gave him a $400 million deal. He got sponsors with Nike. He's their guy. He's their industry baby. So he had to do certain things to save his reputation so he could still have a core fan base who could still rock with him and pump up his numbers. So that way, when he plans to drop projects in the future, he can still have a good foundation to make a lot of money and eventually get those fair weather fans who's just dick riding Kendrick because he's on top. Because I guarantee you, a lot of people on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube rocking the Kendrick, they not like us. A lot of those people aren't really fans of Kendrick. They just like the catchy hook and they like the fact that Drake lost. Because most people are fair weather. They're not really on your side. So Drake, he used damage control to try to save his reputation and keep his brand to a certain level so he wouldn't lose too much money and cost the record label money. Now, one thing that both of these guys did is they tried to sow discord because, you know, I'm just gonna quote the Bible, a kingdom against a kingdom cannot stand. So one thing that Drake did at the beginning is he tried to put many different whispers in the ear. Not only when it came to Kendrick and Whitney, not only when it came to Kendrick and Dave Free, but mainly when it came to Kendrick and Top Dog, because Kendrick is very behind the scenes, he's very secluded. So what Drake had to do was he tried to put, you know, different whispers in the ears of the people to ask them why Kendrick hadn't really done any features with TDE. So he was saying, like, show me your split, I guarantee you Top Dog was extorting you, Top Dog was just using you, they was just, you know, trying to bully you. And basically, he was trying to make it seem as if Kendrick didn't have a strong connection with the people around him. Now, if Kendrick was very weak-minded and if he didn't have strong bonds, people from TDE might have turned on him. But you can tell that TDE, they're like a family. They've been through this thing for a long time. Ab-Soul, Schoolboy Q, you know, SZA, she wasn't really on K-Dot's side like that because she did collaborations with Drake. But you had J-Rock and other dudes from TDE like Punch TDE. they was all solid and they was all rocking with Kendrick. And what that did was it showed the audience that they were solid and that they was rocking with them, and it also showed a glaring error in Drake, because Drake was trying to sow discord and show the people that they weren't really who we thought they were, and that K-Dot's being quote-unquote extorted. But when they backed up Kendrick, it allowed their bond to be a lot stronger. And then what Kendrick did was a great move, in my honest opinion. Now, all of Kendrick's songs were great. Don't get me wrong. What I mean by that, the strategy was great. But in my personal opinion, the song that really tipped the angle was 616 in LA. Because Euphoria, it was able to combat push-ups and tailor-made freestyle, right? But the main thing is that with 616 in LA, when Kendrick revealed that academics is compromised, that Drake is using Twitter bots, and that he mainly has a mole in his camp, and the people around Drake do not really care for him because Drake had a lot of ops and a lot of enemies, it did two things. It destroyed Drake's confidence, because he recorded Family Matters before that song came out. That's why Drake sounded so defeated in The Heart Part 6, because when Kendrick revealed that he had a mole in his camp, Drake was not the same dude. And that's another sign that you know that the mole was not fake. Because if the mole was fake, Drake is a very braggadocious, narcissistic, self-absorbed dude. If he really took the bait like they're saying he did, Drake would have been over the moon, like, I got your dumb ass, da 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 da. He was not prepared. So you can tell by Drake's demeanor and his spirit on Heart Part 6, he was somewhat defeated. Now, he still rapped and did his thing to a certain extent, but he was nowhere near as confident as Family Matters and as Push-Ups and as in Tailor-Made Freestyle. So Kendrick did actually sow discord because there was a lot of leaks in Drake's camps, and not necessarily leaks as in people working with Kendrick, but people who wasn't really feeling Drake. Because one thing that Kendrick did is that he strategically worked with certain rappers who Drake used to work with in order to sow a lot of discord. Dudes like Future, Metro Boomin, think about it. They had a collaboration tape, What a Time to Be Alive. The Weeknd was a part of OVO. They had the EXO OVO link up, right? Who else? I mean, A$AP Rocky, not really. But, you know, Rick Ross. A lot of these dudes did a lot of songs and art and collaboration work with Drake. So when Drake realized all these dudes was coming against him, it kind of messed with Drake's psyche and exposed to the people that OVO was not as strong and certified as people thought they were. And then once Meet the Grams came out, you could kind of tell that what Kendrick said in 616 in LA was true. Because when I first heard 616, I'm like, he got a mole in his camp. I couldn't really, you know, compute it. But as time came on, Kendrick was right. Because they were not prepared, they were not working as a team, and Drake couldn't trust them. So that was a great key move that Kendrick made that really swung the tide of the battle. Now, probably the biggest strategy that these two dudes used, it was literally like I was seeing Biden versus Trump. Defamation. And defamation is just destruction and destroying of your character, of your reputation, of your name. It was so many rumors and misinformation that was thrown out there. And look, we don't know who was telling the truth or who wasn't, because again, the record label did not want real information to come out on these two dudes. But you have to kind of see who had more of a strong case for being right compared to being wrong. So we're gonna get into the different rumors. The first rumor, Drake has a daughter. Nobody knows. We're doing a lot of speculation, but Drake does not have a good track record. It's like if y'all got two kids, yo mama, she knows she got two kids, when always be putting his hand in the cookie jar. He always be trying to go into mama's purse. He always be trying to sneak around. And then the other kid, he just a good kid. He just chilling. And then when mom turned her back, he do his dirt without her seeing. Kendrick is the kid who do his dirt without being seen, whereas Drake, all his stuff is out in the open. So when this beef started, Kendrick had a better reputation to build off of. So when it came to him going against Drake, he took the integrity and moral aspect, and when he brought stuff out on Drake, it's just naturally in our mind to believe Kendrick, because Drake had a track record of getting exposed by Pusha T. So the daughter, it could be real, it could be fake, but that was a key defamation thing that really destroyed Drake's character. He couldn't recover after that. Not only that, but in regards to Drake being somewhat fruity, you know, he be on stage with Sexy Red, he get his nails painted, he got the barrettes in his head, He do a lot of questionable things that make you wonder if he really is this masculine dude that he portrays himself to be in a lot of these raps. Y'all remember Boondocks, right? Y'all remember Gangstalicious, Homies Over Hoes? So y'all gotta understand, a lot of these rappers, a lot of them is flamboyant. We just gonna be real. So, you know, that was another rumor that that Kendrick brought out, that you could, you know, correlate it with him. Now, another one is crazy, but that Drake runs a trafficking ring in his home. Do I believe that? No, but I mean, you never know. You got damn Diddy and all these dudes on the news, bro. Harvey Weinstein? When you get associated with guys like that, it's just natural for people to assume that that might be going on. And it's so crazy. When people call you a PDF file, in my opinion, that's probably the worst label that you can get. Because it's a bad thing if you beat your girl, but it happens a lot. You know, it happens all the time. But when people deal with PDF file, they try to hide it. They try to not even mention it because it's probably one of the most egregious things that you can do. Beating your girl is very bad. It's a horrible thing. Y'all brothers need to calm your ass down and don't hit no woman, man. But when it came to the PDF file, people hear that, man, they willing to kill you. So, you know, the rumor was a lot more powerful, and it destroyed Drake's character, even if it wasn't true. And then when it came to Kendrick, Drake was saying how him and Whitney, they're not together no more. You know, that's like, damn, but it's not really as big of a deal. Now, when it came to the allegation that Dave Free had sex with Whitney and that's his child, that is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. But the thing is, that doesn't attack Kendrick's character, because if Whitney cheated on Kendrick with Dave, that would make Whitney look bad worse than Kendrick. Now, yeah, they are, quote unquote, he's supposed to be a family guy, man of God, and all these things, but at the end of the day, he's attacking Whitney and Dave, not Kendrick. The main accusation that really hurts Kendrick, if it's true, is if he did put his hands on his girl and choke her. And also, Drake, when you listen to Taylor Made Freestyle, he tried to call Kendrick an industry plant who's, quote unquote, moving after the beat of Taylor Swift. I don't think nobody believes that. Unless you just a Drake stan, I don't know how you could believe that. Because when you look at Drake's last album, For All the Dogs, who did he do features with? Sexy Red. What about Sexy Red music make her even want to go on a song with Drake? Come on, bro. Like, it's just such weak angles when it comes to that. And then also was another thing that bro said, oh, he did a song with Yeet. Like, these are brand new industry dudes who really ain't real rappers that was on Drake's album. But yet Drake is calling Kendrick an industry plant when Kendrick makes real music, real MC music, and he has homage to a lot of these West Coast rappers. Listen to The Heart Part 1. When Kendrick first started off, he was labeling all the dudes that he, you know, looked up to, like Dom Kennedy. I forgot a lot of the other names, but that's probably my favorite Heart in my opinion. Kendrick has a track record of respecting rap and respecting the art of being an MC. He used to be a battle rapper. So when Drake tried to say that Kendrick was an industry plant, it was a bad angle. And why do you think after that freestyle in Family Matters and in The Heart, he didn't mention it? Because a lot of his angles were bad. Not only that, but when he talked about Let Me See the Split with TDE, he never mentioned it again, right? Because they were bad angles. Whereas with everything that Kendrick was talking about, when it came to, you know, Drake being a deadbeat, he kept saying it all throughout. So he was beating it in your head. You had a lot of these dudes online like, Kendrick ain't saying nothing new. I mean, what new thing can he say? Drake's been in what, like 3-4 beefs? A lot of people think that you need something new. You don't necessarily need anything new. You just need to be able to destroy somebody's character enough in a different way from Pusha T and from Meek Mill and the other dudes that Drake rapped against. And Kendrick is skilled enough with the pen game to be able to do that. Now, if Drake was beefing against Future gonna get washed, because Future can't come up with an idea and spin it into something very complex and deep and intricate, but Kendrick can. And that shows you how much of a great rapper is. Drake actually was at an advantage when it came to the angles because there was literally no dirt on Kendrick. So if he had something very, very revealing and he did it right and he focused more on Kendrick, he would have had a lot better angles. Because I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. I'm getting ahead of myself. So those are the different defamation things, the different things that was being said. Now, another defamation tactics outside of just the rumors was the straw man argument. Kendrick Lamar used this, and he mainly used it on Not Like Us, when he was calling Drake a colonizer. He was building Drake up to be a wannabe black dude. He really white. And then what did he say? You not a collie. You ain't really with us. You a colonizer. When Drake is half black. He's half black, which means he is a black man. You get what I'm saying? Because he even said it in the Meet the Grams when he called Adonis a black man, right? That's what Kendrick said. So the reason why is that he exaggerated Drake being this bad dude who goes to these other lands, because Drake is a businessman. If you can tap into the dance hall industry, if you can tap into the British market, if you can tap in, I don't know where else he be going, Atlanta, whatever. Those are different avenues for people to stream your music. So that's how you make more money, right? But the way that he used, because the industry uses Drake as, you get on the track with Drake, I could potentially make you another star. Like with 21 Savage, with Migos, they were established, but Drake allowed their career to skyrocket quicker, right? Lil Baby, right? Even 2 Chainz to a certain extent, even though 2 Chainz, he's been around since the early 2000s. Future as well, but Future really blew up when he started doing features with Drake and when he had a What a Time to Be Alive. But Kendrick spun it to say that, nah, you're the one eating off these people. When you gotta understand, Drake got his come up with Young Money. So in all actuality, Drake wasn't really doing anything wrong. You could say what you want to say about him, but Kendrick spun it into something very, very bad to make the average person think that Drake is this evil dude because he's a colonizer. Because the black community, they got a lot of issues with white people. It is what it is, man. So there's a lot of trauma behind that. There's a lot of emotion behind that. And when Kendrick made that song, Not Like Us, even the name, Not Like Us, they not like us, it unified the black community behind Kendrick. And you understand that a lot of the people who was tuned into this beef, a lot of them were black people. Now, there was other races that was listening in and whatnot, but the core audience, the people who really listen and consume rap, they were mostly black people. So when Kendrick did that, he did that straw man on Drake, he got a lot of the influence away from Drake, especially the fair weather people in between, to come on Drake's side. The women, people who don't really listen to rap, or people who like both and couldn't pick, they eventually came to Kendrick because Drake has more fans than Kendrick. So the fact that Kendrick was able to do that, that was a great strategy. Now, another thing that they did was the mirroring tactics. Both of these dudes did a lot of mirroring. And if you don't know what mirroring is if your opponent is doing something, you do something just like it to cause confusion. Mainly with the Twitter bots. When Kendrick dropped 616 in LA, he allegedly exposed that Drake was using Twitter bots to put out fake comments and things like that. Now, when Kendrick released Meet the Grams, DJ Academic said that Kendrick was paying for views on YouTube, which is why Kendrick's views was skyrocketing. So they was both using the aspect of, oh, you using bots, oh, you paying for views. The reason why they did that is so that way, if the truth came out, people would think that Drake was telling the truth or that Kendrick was telling the truth. So what it was doing, it was causing a lot of confusion and people didn't know who or what to believe. And only those people who was really sitting back, evaluating the narrative and looking at the character of each dude because we don't know these people. You don't know who the hell Kendrick is. I don't care how many videos you looked at and how many interviews, you do not know who the hell Kendrick is. Y'all don't know who Drake is. These are created people. These are entertainers. So we don't really know who they are. A lot of times they're just playing a character. Because a lot of y'all didn't even know that Kendrick ran with Bloods. Because you don't really know them. So at the end of the day, when people are on the fence and they don't know who's telling the truth and who's not, when you mirror, you keep people from going to the truth. You keep people from going to who's actually, because who knows? I don't know. I'm a Kendrick. I support Kendrick. I like his music. But I don't even know if he was paying for Twitter bots or not. Because when he said that, and then when Drake said that, it was hard for you to be able to understand who's telling the truth and who was lying, right? And not only that, with the cease and desist. Because when Kendrick said that you did a cease and desist on Like That, what did Drake spin in Family Matters? He said a cease and desist is for hoes. You called the Tupac estate to get that video or to get that song taken down. So Drake is saying using the cease and desist. Kendrick is saying using the cease and desist. And what it does is it manipulates those people who couldn't really understand what was going on to stick with the side that they was on from the beginning. And the last one, another mirror, is the mole. Because when when Kendrick came out and exposed that he had a mole in his camp that was leaking information, the first thing that after Meet the Grams came out, that's when DJ Academics tried to say, oh, the information might be false. You had different dudes from OVO saying, he fell for the mole, he took the bait. People on Twitter theorizing, different Drake fans theorizing, and they just try to run with it because that was a way for him to say, damn, because let's say hypothetically speaking, Kendrick actually did have the mole. If Drake didn't say nothing, everybody would have thought it was true, and it would have made Kendrick Lamar look like, wow, Kendrick had insight. Because you gotta remember, nobody from the Drake side said anything about having a mole in OVO when Kendrick dropped 616 Friday in the morning. It wasn't until Meet the Grams came, when they saw what Kendrick was really doing with that, where you started to hear this mole talk about the fake daughter. Now again, is the fake daughter real or false? Who the hell knows? But if you go on Twitter, you go on TikTok, and you go on YouTube with these different discussions, you have a lot of people from the Drake side talking about how Kendrick lied in the songs and how that takes away from that diss, because Meet the Grams was a fucking scathing diss. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people aren't gonna like the beef. When you look at the artwork and how he dissected Adonis, Sandra, Dennis, Drake, and his daughter, bro, and they saw the reaction that people had. Because what Kendrick did, and this is another strategy that he used, is he took out the air of the statement that Drake had. Like example, if you have a argument with your mom or whoever, and she's accusing you of stealing money, you'd be like, well, didn't you steal money from dad? So basically, what you would try to do is you try to say a statement that's worse than what your mom or whoever is accusing. Now, don't do that to your mom. Love your mama, love your daddy. Don't be a bad kid. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you accuse your friend of stealing money, and then he accuses you of cheating on your girl, you getting accused of cheating on your girl is a lot worse than him accusing you of stealing money. So when Drake was speaking about the whole accusations of Kendrick, choking on his wife, when he came out and said he had a sex ring and was doing PDF files and all this, that defamation, those destruction tactics were a lot stronger than what was said about Kendrick. He took the air out of that record, and that was another nail in the coffin in this battle. Great strategic timing by Kendrick, and it shows you how smart and how well thought out and how planned and calculated him and his team was, because he already, and that's how you can understand that Drake did have some leaks. Because one, how would Kendrick know that Drake dropped Meet the Grams? How would he even know he would be talking about his family? So what Kendrick did, he mirrored it, he killed the record, he made an even scathing diss track that killed your emotion, it killed any type of hype you had for the track. Because also, this is another thing, and I was going to talk about this later, but timing is everything. I used to be in sales. People might be interested in what you have to say and what you want, but if you meet them on the wrong time when they're dealing with something, they're not going to want to hear what you have to say. So with Kendrick, he was completely calculated with this. You got to remember, when First Person Shooter came out, last year in September, that was literally 5.5 months before Kendrick dropped Like That. Do you think he just did that by circumstance? Kendrick been heard the First Person Shooter song with Drake and Cole. He knew about the subtle diss shots. He knew about all the shots Drake was taking. He heard Scary Hours 3 where Drake was putting all these different songs and, dissing him. Kendrick waited specifically for the right moment to strike. If y'all ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, remember during the eclipse when King Boomy, he realized there was an eclipse and he said a perfect time to strike and the firebenders couldn't do a damn thing? It was the same thing with this. Kendrick waited strategically for this moment to happen so that way he could go. And when you look at the battle, Kendrick was always in control. He was always in control because he dropped Like That with Future and Metro, a banging track, #1 on the charts. It killed Drake's ego, and not only that, but Kendrick dropped the track while Drake was on tour. So all the hype was being built with Kendrick. And then when when J. Cole made his record and then backed out, and then Drake made his record, the Like That record was already out there for 3 weeks, and Drake was responding to Kendrick. Kendrick was in the lead. And that's why Drake tried to put out, tailor-made freestyle, because he tried to speed up the process. He tried to speed up Kendrick because he wanted to be in control over when he could respond. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, it was a real disadvantage for Drake because Kendrick didn't fall for it. You was hearing all these people on the internet talking about he's scared and Kendrick ain't the boogeyman, and academics talking about it's been 16 days, 17 days since he dropped. But the thing that Drake didn't understand about Kendrick is Kendrick has a well-respected pen. He has a strong fan base that people aren't going to forget about him like how people forgot about Meek, because Meek took a long time to drop as well. But by that point, he was already buried. He was already dead. There was nothing he could do. With Kendrick, it was completely different. So when Kendrick responded with Euphoria, Drake was on the defensive. And then Kendrick came out with 616 in LA, Drake was at the defensive. And then when Drake thought he had it again, and then Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams, Drake is on the defensive. And then he had Not Like Us, Drake was on the defensive. So Drake was boom, 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 that fucking love. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand that Kendrick, he planned this thing out perfectly. And that's ultimately why he didn't necessarily, I'm not going to sit here and act like Kendrick wasn't a great rapper. He put out great songs and great tracks, but Drake also held his own. He's not on the same level as Kendrick lyrically when it comes to me and just as a rap creator, music creator, but Drake can hold his own. He got a good pen, you know what I'm saying? He ain't at that spot if he wasn't a good rapper. But Kendrick is just on another level, and more importantly, Kendrick outsmarted Drake with his moves that he made, especially when it came to the timing, that no matter what Drake did, Kendrick went up to him. So this, just to kind of summarize it, when it came to Drake, he had poor planning. He had been talking about this beef. He had been talking about how he's going to destroy K-Dot and all this stuff. He didn't plan it out well. He had very bad, I'm not saying some of his angles aren't good, but a lot of the angles that you hear him say in push-ups, he never mentioned it again in Meet the Grams or in The Heart Part 6. Even when you look at that bodyguards like Whitney, people were alluding to Kendrick's wife dealing with a bodyguard, 2 Steves, right? And then all of a sudden, Drake said it was day free, right? So when you look at certain things, the angles were not as strong and sturdy. Even the pipsqueak pipe down, those are good, but it's not gonna really sway anything. And when Drake is talking about he got more numbers, he got more clout, he's the real industry dude feeding his ego, Kendrick used that against Drake, because Kendrick never fed into the money, status, fame. That's why he said on Euphoria, it's not about that. It's just because I don't like you. And he justified why he didn't like Drake and how he was going to destroy Drake. Then when you heard Meet the Grams and you heard Not Like Us, your mind was already used to Kendrick wanting to go at this dude. So it wasn't like, damn, you took it too far, because he already built up a narrative that he wanted to destroy Drake from the beginning. He had better angles. Another thing that really hurt Drake, bad PR record. Because of all the stuff that's been going on in Drake with being peed on by T.I., what else, man? Being slapped by Diddy, the whole Pusha T thing, when Drake was trying to act hard and try to intimidate and punk Kendrick, it didn't work as well because his track record does not show him being this super, thug type of dude. And not only that, but Drake is on the internet too much, so he was exposing himself to the public. All these weird interviews, Crody, you know what I'm saying? All the different times where Drake is acting weird and taking all these pictures, the ammo was being used against him. When you go to Kendrick Lamar's Instagram, when you go to Kendrick Lamar's social media presence and YouTube presence and interview presence, he's just chill. He's just showing himself, because Kendrick Lamar was showing himself to be more authentic. And that's the thing with Drake. He had a lot of superficial albums and projects, whereas Kendrick had a lot more realer albums, talking about his family experience, talking about his community, talking about his struggles with himself and his family, that when Drake tried to come at them, people were already looking at Kendrick from an angle of light. And also another thing that I didn't mention is the Mr. Morales and the Big Stepper album, and shout out to that channel with the 7 chess moves that I mentioned earlier. But he explained how Mr. Morales and the Big Stepper was specifically dropped for this exact moment, because any type of dirt that Kendrick might have had, he exposed it on that album. So when people try to come and be like, damn, see, look, Kendrick did this, Kendrick did that, they're not together, it didn't hit the same, because that was a defensive album in itself. Again, Kendrick been planning this for years. He been planning it for so long, man. So he was more, acclimated and more war ready for this than Drake. Drake thought because he went through all these beefs, Kendrick couldn't really come at him with anything new, but he underestimated Kendrick's penmanship. And lastly, Drake, all of his skeletons was online, so Kendrick had better evidence to prove to the people. that he was speaking the truth allegedly and Drake wasn't allegedly. So there y'all have it, man. Again, for those of y'all, man, who want to gain your understanding in this world, study this beef, man. It goes way deeper than music. If you really analyze it, you're going to be able to see how the government, politicians, your job, even the women that you date, how they may potentially use somebody, even your friends and your family. They may try to use these tactics to get into your mind and influence your emotions. But if you understand the tactics of what people are using around you, you can counter them and you can defend yourself and shield yourself from it. And you can go from being that pawn who's being controlled and manipulated and puppet mastered into becoming a king who understands what's going on around him, understands how to deal with certain things, how to maneuver out of it, and have great strategies in life, man. So you can be like my boy K-Dot. So if you guys like this content, man, you know, like the video, comment down below what you thought about it, who you thought won, who you think is a better rapper, and the different strategies that you noticed if I missed something. And if you guys like the channel, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.